Good evening, Patriots, and welcome to another edition of the Douglas Ducote Show. You had many places to be tonight. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. As many of you have probably already heard by now, President Trump is freezing almost all federal money going out until we can find out where all the fraud, waste, and abuse is that our government has been conducting for the past 4 years. This action has caused quite the stir with liberals, the media, and Democrats up in Washington, D.C., from House members to Senate members. They are spinning lie after lie about how this action will take away everyone's benefits that are currently receiving them. It is absolutely insanity what they're spewing right now. So, I have had the time to read this executive order, in fact, several of them. And I would like to clear that up for you right now. And please pass this on to your liberal and Democrat friends that are saying that Trump is fixing to take away all of our benefits, for those of you that are on them. These executive orders on freezing this money will not, I will repeat that, will not affect anyone who is currently receiving government assistance. If you are on the following government assistance, regardless of what you're being told, it will not be affected. This includes Social Security benefits are not going to stop. Medicare benefits are not going to stop. Food stamp benefits and welfare benefits will not stop. And any government assistance that is going out to Americans by our government will not be affected. Again, you're being lied to by the DC Democrats, liberals, and the news media. Now, if you are an illegal alien and you're receiving government assistance, you may find out that you're not going to get paid on the 1st or the 3rd or whenever it is that your money goes in. You may find out that you don't have Medicare or Medicaid after the 1st. But to American citizens that receive any kind of assistance from our government, these executive orders to freeze all this outgoing money is not going to affect you at all in any way, shape, or form. Do not listen to the lies that are being spewed by these Trump derangement syndrome Democrats up in Washington, D.C., or anyone else for that matter, or especially CNN and MSNBC and The View and so forth and so forth. All right, that out of the way. Dozens of senior officials in the U.S. agency that administers foreign aid will reportedly be placed on leave aimed at an investigation to alleged resistance to President Trump's order. At least 56 U.S. agents for international development, which is U.S. aid, officials were placed on administrative leave with full pay and benefits, according to Politico, which first reported on this. Now, personally, they should not get paid full benefits while they're on leave for resisting Trump's order on freezing this money going out to foreign countries right now. Several hundred contractors based in Washington and elsewhere were also laid off, a current and former official told the Associated Press. These actions come after Secretary of State Marco Rubio, acting on Trump's executive order, paused all U.S. foreign assistance funded by or through the State Department and U.S. aid. The 90-day pause has halted thousands of U.S.-funded humanitarian, development, and security programs worldwide and forced aid organizations to lay off hundreds of employees because they can't make payroll. According to the Associated Press, the internal U.S. aid notice sent late yesterday afternoon said new acting administrator Jason Gray had identified several actions within U.S. aid that appeared to be designed to circumvent the president's executive orders and the mandate from the American people. As a result, we have placed a number of U.S. aid employees on administrative leave with full pay and benefits until notice while we complete our analysis of these actions, Gray wrote. Let me go a step further and say, fire them. How about that shit? The notice did not say which of the dozens of executive orders Trump has signed since taking office the U.S. aid officials are accused of violating. Those placed on leave were career officials who had served in multiple administrations, including Trump's first administration, the former U.S. aid official told the AP. Before those officials were removed from their job Monday, they were scrambling to help U.S.-funded aid organizations cope with the new fund freezing and seek waivers to continue life-saving activities from getting clean water to war-displaced people in Sudan to continue to monitor for bird flu globally, the former official said. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has specifically exempted only emergency food programs and military aid to Israel and Egypt from the freeze of foreign assistance. Trump has criticized foreign aid and called for a review of U.S. aid programs to determine which put American interests first and which should be eliminated. The U.S. is the largest donor of aid globally. During fiscal year 2023, the U.S. dispersed $72 billion in assistance to other countries. Now, that's not including the billions sent to Ukraine. It also provided 42% of all humanitarian aid tracked by the United Nations in 2024. So, look, we the people that voted Donald Trump into office, part of our problem with the government has always been fraud, waste, and abuse. And for those of you that served in our government, whether it's been in the military or elsewhere in our government, or in state government or city government or your local government, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Government is so used to spending your money, taxpayer money, and blowing it that we wanted it stopped. And Trump is adhering to that until we can figure out exactly where the money's going and accountability and holding those responsible and how they're spending it. And whether or not we even need to be giving it to them in the first damn place. Why aren't these other countries stepping up? Why are we, America, spending 42% of this aid to these other countries? Fuck that. Canada, where's your benefit? Those in Europe, Germany, come on. Central South America, step up to the plate. South Korea, pay up, folks. Or don't expect us to do it for you and everybody else. During her first official White House briefing, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt warned that foreign nationals attempting to enter the U.S. illegally are not welcome under this administration. So to foreign nationals who are thinking about trying to illegally enter the United States, think again, she said to reporters today at the White House briefing. Under this president, you will be detained and you will be deported, plain and simple. Every day, Americans are safer because the violent criminals that President Trump's administration is removing from our communities. Specifically, Levette pointed to recent arrests that Immigration and Customs Enforcement has conducted in just this month, including arrest of Honduran citizens convicted of a rape and a Dominican Republican citizen with a criminal conviction of second-degree murder. These are heinous individuals, and this administration is removing from American communities every single day. And the brave state and local law enforcement officers, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and ICE agents who are helping in the facilitation of the deportation operations. President Trump has your back, and he is grateful for your hard work, she said. Trump has vowed to crack down on illegal immigrants during his campaign and declared a national emergency at our southern border following his inauguration. We, the people, voted Donald Trump into office to stop this influx of illegal criminals into our society and to arrest all those and deport them that this past administration under Biden and Harris let out of jails to run the streets and continue to commit crimes. He also immediately ordered the expulsion of migrants without the possibility of asylum. Levitt also defended the Trump administration's decision to issue a freeze on federal grants and loans that took place yesterday, a move that prompted backlash from Democrats. Levitt issued reassurance that those who receive individual federal assistance will not be impacted by the pause, which I just shared with you in the opening of tonight's show, because I read what the executive order said, and there is that clause in there of what will not be affected, regardless of what you're being told. It's lies. Democrats, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Lion Shoemaker, Democrat in New York, claimed the decision is an overreach of power and said it is an attempt to circumvent Congress and withhold congressional approved funds. More lawlessness and chaos in America as Donald Trump's administration blatantly disobeys the law by holding up virtually all vital funds that support programs in every community across this country, Schumer said in a statement. If this continues, the American people will pay an awful price. They said this is temporary, but no one should believe that, Schumer said. And he is the biggest idiot spewing this nonsense. Donald Trump must direct his administration to reverse course immediately, and the taxpayers' money should be distributed to the people. The press secretary also unveiled major changes to White House press access and announced the Trump administration will restore the press pass for 440 journalists whose passes, she said, were wrongfully revoked by the Biden administration. Now, this is very important, what I'm about to read here. In keeping with the revolutionary media approach that President Trump deployed during the campaign, the Trump White House will speak to all media outlets and personalities, not just legacy media who are seated in this room, she said. So that means that people like myself are going to have more access to get direct information out of the White House press group, not the reporters, but the people that are responsible in the press briefings. People like myself will be able to call in, and I've already got the number, to verify any stories that we're going to report on. The White House also today revealed that some of the drones seen flying over New Jersey and other parts of the country in November were authorized to be flown by the Federal Aviation Administration. Press Secretary said an update directly from President Donald Trump that clarified the origin of the drones, which caused a national stir and catapulted headlines for weeks later that happened last year. After research and study, the drones that were flying over New Jersey in large numbers were authorized by the FAA for research and various other reasons, she said. And there's some small print there, which we're going to get to here in just a second. In addition to those authorized by the FAA, other drones flown by hobbyists were sighted, and the numbers increased as curiosity about the phenomenon grew. This was not the enemy, she said. The drone sightings in November and December originally raised public concerns and even attracted the attention of the FBI. The FBI, Newark, New Jersey, State Police, the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness are asking for the public to report any information related to the recent sightings of possible drones flying in several areas along the Ratain River, a December 3rd FBI statement noted. The Federal Aviation Administration even issued temporary flight restrictions after the large number of sightings, prohibiting drone flights over parts of New Jersey. We reported on those drones several times right here on this program. However, an FBI official later said that the roughly 5,000 tips they received related to reported drone sightings, less than 100 of those leads have been generally and deemed worthy of further investigating activity. In mid-December, a Department of Homeland Security official said they're confident that many of the reported drone sightings are, in fact, manned aircraft misidentified as drones. ABC News reported. Analysts by the White House, in coordination with the FBI and state local officials, concluded that lawful, legal, commercial hobbyists, and even law enforcement aircraft activity was responsible for most of the sightings. Former White House National Security Communication Advisor John Kirby previously reported that as well. Trump had vowed to get to the bottom of the matter once he assumed office. I can't imagine it's an enemy, or there would have been, people would have gotten blown up, all of them. Maybe they're testing things. I don't know. They wouldn't have said it if it was, Trump said from the Oval Office last week. They had a lot of them flying over Bedminster, which is interesting, referring to his club in New Jersey. So, let me read between the lines for you. Most of these are what is known as black projects. Black projects that the public wasn't supposed to see. And yet we did. Black projects are run by the U.S. military and the CIA. Now, we have a place for these black projects. It's called Area 51. Yet, for reasons unknown, they chose places like New Jersey at night, late at night, to fly their black projects. I don't know. I don't run it. I just report on it. And I do believe that by the Trump administration putting this out, that, yes, that's probably 99.9% true. Now, is there still some other things flying around that we don't know what the hell they are? Yes, we know that. It's already been reported in front of Congress. They've already had hearings on it. They've already interviewed military pilots, especially pilots in our Navy, that have been chasing after these things, that have captured them on their gun camera footage, that have seen objects doing things that defy everything we know about aerodynamics. And we don't know who they are. Could some of those be black projects? I guess they could. They could also be other countries' projects and or something not of this world. I don't know. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced he is immediately pulling retired General Mark Milley's personal security detail and his security clearance. The Secretary is also directing the new Acting Inspector General to conduct a review board to determine if enough evidence exists for General Milley to be stripped of a star in retirement based on his actions to undermine the chain of command during President Donald Trump's first term. The Pentagon will also be removing a second portrait of General Milley from inside the Pentagon. This one is from the Army Marshal's corridor on the third floor, honoring his service as Chief of Staff of the Army. It's being told the removal is the second portrait will take place as soon as tonight. This means there'll be no more portraits of General Milley inside the Pentagon. The first portrait of General Milley from his time as the U.S. military top official or officer was removed from the Pentagon last week on Inauguration Day, less than 2 hours after President Trump was sworn into office. The now retired General Milley and former senior Trump aides had been assigned personal security details ever since Iran vowed revenge for the killing of Qasem Soleimani in a drone strike in 2020 ordered by Trump in his first term. The chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Tom Cotton, said he hoped President Trump would revisit the decision to pull the protective security detail from John Bolton, Mike Pompeo, and Brian Hook, who previously served under Trump. Asked while these actions are being taken, a senior administration official who requested to be anonymous replied, "There is a new era of accountability in the Department of Defense under President Trump's leadership, and that's exactly what the American people expect." General Milley served as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff from 2019 to 2023 under both Presidents Trump and Biden. He served as the Army's Chief of Staff, the service's top officer, from 2015 to 2019. In his book, War, Bob Woodward writes, General Milley told him at a reception at the Willard Hotel in Washington, D.C. on March 6, 2023, that he believed Trump was a fascist to the core. General Milley was still serving in uniform as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff when he reportedly made the remark. Woodward wrote that General Milley shared with me his worries about Trump's mental stability and control of nuclear weapons. Before leaving office, President Joe Biden pardoned General Milley from any crimes that he may have committed. In the book, Pearl, by Bob Woodward and Robert Acosta, wrote that General Milley called his Chinese counterpart on 2 occasions in the final months of Trump's first term, warning him the U.S. military had no plans to strike China in a bid to avert tensions between nuclear-armed countries. So, regardless of what you may or may not think of General Milley, you do not have, as a 4-star general, the ability to go rogue and make your own decisions on what you are or are not going to do from what the commander-in-chief directs. And that's what General Milley is guilty of. Not to mention what took place with the Afghanistan withdrawal that got more American service members killed, American citizens left behind, as well as many of those in the coalition that helped us left behind to fall in the hands of the Taliban and be killed, along with billions of dollars of U.S. military equipment to fall in the hands of the Taliban. Those are treasonous actions, and that is why Joe Biden pardoned him. So, fuck his security detail. You're going to make millions of fucking dollars going on CNN and MSNBC spewing your hatred bullshit over the next 4 years. So guess what? Buy your own damn detail. I get death threats every day, numerous times a day. I protect myself. Ex-CNN anchor Jim Acosta had a direct message for President Trump as he teased the launch of an independent show following his exit from CNN. In a message on his new Substack page, Acosta told readers how the Trump administration and its MAGA allies made it their mission in life to run me out of town on a rail. And he vowed he would not pull any punches in his reporting on what he's called the Jim Acosta Show. For President Trump and his allies, you may think you have silenced me, but guess again. The Jim Acosta Show is coming soon, Acosta wrote Tuesday. Trump previously offered a celebratory response to Acosta's expected exit from CNN, calling it really good news. Jim Acosta, one of the worst and most dishonest reporters in journalistic history, a major sleazebag, has been relegated by CNN fake news to a midnight hour, aka Death Valley, because of extraordinary bad ratings and no talent, Trump wrote on Truth Social. Word that he wants to quit, and that would even be better. Jim is a major loser who will fail no matter where he ends up. Good luck, Jim. And then Acosta fired back, writing, looks like someone has ADS, Acosta derangement syndrome. Acosta announced he was leaving CNN at the end of his final broadcast, which came following reports that CNN CEO Mark Thompson wanted to move him from his 10 a.m. Eastern Time slot to a 2-hour gig beginning at midnights. Acosta was left off CNN's updated program scheduling last week. You may have seen some reports about me and this show, and after giving all of this careful consideration and weighing an alternative time slot CNN offered me, I've decided to move on, Acosta told viewers. The veteran CNN star offered a pointed message, which included a not-so-vile swipe at President Trump, who he famously feuded with during Trump's first term. It is never a good time to bow down to triumphs, Acosta said. I have always believed it's the job of the press to hold power to account. I've always tried to do that here at CNN. I plan on doing it in my near future. Well, that's not true at all. You're just a freaking liar. One final message. I don't give in to the lies. Don't give in to the fear. Hold on to the truth and to hope. Even if you have to put out your phone, record that message. I'll not give in to the lies. I'll not give in to the fear. Post it on Truth Social so people can hear from you too, he added. Jim has a long, disgruntled, nearly 20-year career at CNN with a track record of standing up to authority from the First Amendment and for our journalistic freedoms, the CNN spokesperson said in a statement. We want to thank him for his dedication and commitment he has brought to his reporting and wish him the very best in the future. Acosta first joined CNN back in 2007, recovered political campaigns and eventually the Obama and Trump White Houses. He emerged as a hero from the anti-Trump resistance during his first term, often sparring with President and his aides. So, the Jim Acosta Show. First off, Jim Acosta, in order to be relevant in any way, shape, or form, you have to have a viewership. You know, it's kind of like those little peasants that put together YouTube channels to attack me. And they just sit there and they just spew hateful bullshit, not about my reporting, but about me, about my family, make up lies about all kinds of shit about my military service, my law enforcement service, my health, you name it, just spewing bullshit. And they think they're making a, they're getting it out there. They're getting the word out there. And they only have like 24 fucking people subscribed to their channel. That's Jim Acosta. Nobody was watching him on CNN. Nobody. That's why they're going to move him to midnight. Let him sit there at midnight and have nobody watch him. They didn't want the fucking lawsuit. They don't want to deal with all that bullshit. We're going to keep you. We're just moving you to midnight. And Jim said, no, I'm going to go start my own show. Good luck with that, you sorry sack of shit. President Donald Trump today signed an executive order to restrict chemical and surgical sex change procedures for minors. Now, first, let me say, how sad is that? That any adult, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, a conservative, liberal, a doctor, a surgeon, a psychiatrist, a therapist, a parent, anyone who thinks it's okay for a minor, for a child to say, hey, mom and dad, I know I was born with a penis, but I want it to be chopped off and I want to be called Sally. Any adult that thinks that's okay has a severe mental disorder because it's not okay. So the fact that Donald Trump has to put out an executive order to stop this silliness, what does that say about us? There's some sick and twisted people walking around us that believe it's okay to allow this to happen. Look, think about when you were a child, when you were a minor. Children don't know what side of the aisle they fall on until they at least get into their teens and go into puberty, for crying out loud, before they start having feelings one way or the other, whether it's going to be for the opposite sex or the same sex. And that's okay. That's part of human nature. But to tell a child that, no, I want you to like the same sex, or I want you to like the opposite sex, that's not okay. You let children, you can guide them, you can give them, religious upbringing, you can guide them in, the Bible, you can guide them on your personal beliefs and values, your morals. I mean, that's what we're supposed to do as parents. That's what we should do as educators. But for anyone, a parent or otherwise, to think it's okay if the little boy comes up to you and says, I want to be a girl tomorrow, cut off my private parts, or the girl comes up and says, I want to be a boy, chop off my boobs, and you think it's okay to do that, there's something seriously fucking wrong with you. You need mental help. Across the country today, medical professionals are maiming and sterilizing a growing number of children under the radical and false claim that adults can change a child's sex through a series of irreversible medical interventions, the order said. Entitled Protecting Children from Chemical and Surgical Mutilation. This dangerous trend will be a strain on our nation's history and it must end. Countless children soon regret that they have been mutilated and begin to grasp the horrifying tragedies that they will never be able to conceive children of their own or nurture their children through breastfeeding and so forth. Moreover, these vulnerable youths' medical bills may be raised through their lifetime, as they're often trapped with lifelong medical complications a losing war with their own bodies and tragically sterilization. Accordingly, it is the policy of the United States that it will not fund, sponsor, promote, assist, or support the so-called transition of a child from one sex to the other, and will righteously enforce all laws that prohibit or limit these destructive and life-altering procedures, the order says. Posting on Truth Social, Trump said, "Today it is my great honor to sign an executive order banning the chemical castration and medical mutilation of innocent children in the United States of America. Our nation will no longer fund, sponsor, promote, assist, or support so-called gender-affirming care, which has already ruined far too many precious lives. My order directs agencies to use every available means to cut off federal financial participation in institutions which seek to provide these barbaric medical procedures that should have never been allowed to take place." Mark Trammell, Executive Director and General Counsel of the Center for American Liberties, which represents some detransitioners in lawsuits, praised Trump's actions. President Trump is to be commended for his incredible leadership protecting these children from the gender industrial complex, he said. Its executive order rightly distanced federal agencies from the discredited World Professional Association of Transgender Health. I didn't even know that was a fucking thing. Did you? The World Professional Association of Transgender Health, the WPATH, while also withholding federal funding from institutions that chemically and surgically mutilate kids. It is pathetic that Joe Biden lacked the moral and intellectual clarity to issue an executive order, instead evaluating policies over the health of vulnerable children, he added. Human Rights Campaign President Kelly Robertson said in response to the order, "Everyone deserves the freedom to make deeply personal healthcare decisions for themselves and their families, no matter your income, zip code, or health coverage. This executive order is a brazen attempt to put politicians in between people and their doctors, preventing them from assessing evidence-based healthcare supported by every major medical association in the country. It is deeply unfair to play politics with people's lives and strip transgender youth, people, their families, and their providers of the freedom to make necessary healthcare decisions." No, bullshit. That's not healthcare decisions. Children don't have the ability to determine whether or not they're male, female, or like the opposite sex, or want their shit cut off. They don't have the mental capacity to make these decisions. That doesn't come until you get into at least into your puberty age, and even further than that. If you're not at least the age of 18 or above, no one should have the ability to do something like that to their bodies. Questions about this care should be answered by doctors, not politicians. Fuck you. And decisions must rest with families, doctors, and the patient. You are a sick and twisted bitch. On Friday, the Trump Department of Justice dropped charges against Dr. Ethan Ham, who blew the whistle on transgender medicine being performed on minors in Texas. The U.S. Supreme Court heard oral arguments last month challenging a Tennessee law banning transgender medical treatments of children this past December. A ruling in the high-profile case is expected by July of 2025. Over 24 states have enacted similar bans restricting minors from accessing transgender medical treatment. How in the hell have we gotten to this place? Liberals. There you go. Liberals. It's not a Democrat thing. It's not a Republican thing. It's far left liberal ideology that is sick and twisted. And that is another reason why Republicans won back all three branches of government. That is another reason why Donald Trump won not only the Electoral College, but the popular vote, to put an end to this type of sickness that is affecting not just we the people and our country, but our children. Governor Gretchen Whitman, Democrat in Michigan, said Tuesday that she agreed with the View co-host Sunny Hostin's assessment that President Donald Trump's deportations were targeting brown people. You could not make this up if you tried. I also want to make the point that an undocumented immigrant is not a criminal because he or she is undocumented. Well, you're right. But if they came into this country across the fucking Rio Grande, you idiot, or trekked across miles of fucking barren land to escape the Border Patrol, they're a criminal. Now, let's get that shit out of the way, madam. She went on to say that is a civil offense. So to call people illegals is in it and of itself, I think, is homophobic and racist, Hostin said on The View. And so what we're doing again is we have decided as a country to demonize a certain type of immigrant, a certain looking type of immigrant. And those immigrants are either from Central America or Mexico. They are brown. There are lots of undocumented immigrants here, about 40% of them who come from other countries that aren't brown, but we aren't rounding them up. That's a fucking lie. You're a liar. And they allow you this platform to spew your lies. The co-host discussed Trump's immigration policies and more with Whitman during an interview. Whitman said that the U.S. had failed to secure the southern border, but said the Biden administration was not to blame. Co-host Joy Barr questioned why the Trump administration wasn't rounding up Canadians after Werner said that Michigan had the biggest border crossings in the country with Canada. Whitman acknowledged Hostin's point during the conversation and said how the skin tone of people who are being rounded up is different, how you're treated. This is not breaking news, but it's worth pointing out, she said. Co-host Alicia Farron-Griffin pushed back on the point in her question to Whitman. Donald Trump made gains with working class Americans, which are traditionally a Democratic stronghold. One of the issues that did, in fact, move a lot of voters in the issue on immigration, not because working class voters don't want brown people here, but because they know companies are going to exploit cheap labor, hire those people, and that could take jobs away from Americans. And had concerns around trade and offshore American jobs. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, he talked about in a way that resonated with them, Griffin said, asking why Democrats lost ground with working class voters. Whitman conceded that Trump did a better job speaking to Americans about their fears than Democrats did. Glad you saw that, madam. Griffin also argued that immigrants crossing the southern border mattered during the first segment, pushed back on Hostin on visa overstays. When you come here on a visa, the U.S. government knows where you came from, what your name is, your place of origin. Yes, there are some who shouldn't be in the country anymore that doesn't have the same national security risk of people. We have no idea of their home origin, where they came from, why they're here. while they're staying, Griffin said. That's why undocumented migrants from the border do matter, she said. So, to the ladies of the View, and to this governor, and liberals out there, this is not about brown people. It's not about black people. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. It has nothing to do with where you came from, whether it's from Canada, whether it's from Mexico or Iran. It's about terrorists. It's about murderers. It's about rapists. It's about child molesters. It's about gang members. You idiots. There aren't people being rounded up by ICE because of the color of their skin. They don't care what the color of their skin is. They're not looking at the color of their skin. You're pulling the race card. You are turning this into something it is not. It's about protecting American citizens. It's about getting rid of these millions of illegal immigrants that the past administration allowed in here that were criminals. And then those that were arrested, let them back out into the community to continue to do harm to us. But you people are too fucking dumb to understand this simple concept. It's about protecting you, regardless if you're a fucking liberal or not. We're protecting you and your family from murderers and rapists and drug trafficking and trafficking of women and children. But you don't have any common sense. You have zero common sense. How you function in today's society with views like this that are blatant lies, I don't get it. And neither does the other people that voted for what we have right now. Donald Trump and Republicans in charge. We don't understand what's going through your fucking brain, other than you don't have one. And finally tonight, Costco finds itself embroiled in a public battle over its controversial DEI policies. As you may or may not know, Donald Trump has told the federal government to get rid of all DEI policies, regardless of what agency you work for. That has resonated throughout states, throughout America, to do away with them as well. But a much larger fight is looming, with 18,000 store employees set to head to the picket lines if the grocery chain can't agree to a new contract by this Friday. If Costco actually respects its employees, it will give our 18,000 members the wages, benefits, and work rules that they have been demanding for months, a Teamster spokesman said. The grocery wholesaler has long held a pro-work image, has been locked in a protective battle with the Teamsters union, which represents 18,000 Costco's 219,000 U.S. worker base. The Teamsters are accused the grocery club of not sharing its record $7.4 billion profit with its workers. Teamsters have accused Costco of engaging in illegal and reckless behavior, including kicking union reps out of stores, preventing employees from wearing Teamster buttons and changing the locks on union bulletin boards. Talks finally broke down this past January when Costco refused to reach a card check agreement. Card check as a process that would make it easier for workers to join unions by eliminating secret ballots. 85% of Costco's unionized employees voted to authorize a strike. The strike would affect 50 stores across the U.S. in New York, New Jersey, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. As Costco's board voted overwhelmingly to reject an anti-DEI measure brought by activist investors at their shareholders meeting last Friday. Workers railed against outside their Washington offices, signaling the real fight was yet to come. Costco has two choices: respect the workers who made them a success or face a national strike. Costco Teamsters, diverse and industry-leading contract that reflects the company's massive profits. If Costco thinks they can exploit our members while raking in billions, we'll shut them down, Teamster President Sean O'Brien said in a statement. What I can tell you is our contract with this company expires at midnight on Friday. And the reason Costco has made so much money over the past few years is its workers, the Teamster spokesman said. The potential strike comes as 19 states' attorney generals called on Costco to drop their DEI policies, writing that the grocery chain must end all unlawful discrimination imposed by the company through diversity, equity, and inclusion. The letter sent to Costco's CEO, Ron Burchess, said. When asked by Teamsters, when asked if the Teamsters thought the wholesaler was picking a public fight about DEI to deflect the tension away from its labor dispute, their spokesperson said, I can't really speculate as to why Costco's made certain decisions. So, you know what to do, right, Patriots? Just like we did with Budweiser and Bud Light and all the other woke bullshit out there, I can assure you what to do. Boycott Costco. Don't ever go in another Costco again until they remove their DEI policy. And when they do that, if they do that, I will let you know right here on this program when it's okay to go back into another Costco. I have a membership at Costco, and tomorrow my wife and I are going to drive down there in person and cancel our membership and let them know why. And I hope that you will do the same thing. Costco, suck our ass. We're done with you until you do away with this bullshit DEI crap that you're trying to spew and bring upon the American people. Anyway, thank you for being here tonight. You have many places you could be. You chose to be here with me, and for that, I am forever grateful. I'll be back on Thursday night. I hope you will join me. Whether you're watching me tonight live on YouTube or Rumble or X, formerly Twitter, or LinkedIn, please don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Tell your family and friends about the Douglas Ducote Show. Share my channel on your social media platforms, as well as my videos. And don't forget, if you're sharing it with family and friends that have children, let them know that Mr. Doug sometimes says a bad word, and therefore make sure you're not running the volume up while your kids are in the room, because we don't want to offend anybody. Although most of you are probably using the same words I use on a regular basis, and your kids are already hearing it. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not trying to say, hey, that's okay. I'm just saying that, you know what? Sometimes alpha males get a little carried away, and we get very passionate about what we're trying to get across to the American people. And that's just part of how it works. Anyway, anything breaks between now and Thursday, I'll either do a video about it or I will do a live program about it. Other than that, whatever you're going to do tonight, please be safe. Watch out for your family and friends. Make sure you're watching your six, because there are people in this country that want to kill us thanks to this administration allowing them in across our border. And thankfully, we're rounding their ass up, we're finding them, and we're getting them out. We've already rounded up over 7,000 illegal aliens since Trump took office and just a few days ago, and are deporting their ass out of here. And every one of them have criminal convictions. Bad shit. And they're people we do not want in this country. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America, and may God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for joining me tonight, and I'll see you next Thursday.